I'm Senator Michelle Stennett, running again for the Senate seat. This was my 9th session. It went by very quickly, but some days not quick enough. So anyway, I've been honored to be in leadership all except for one of those years. I've been the Senate Minority Leader for most of that time. An honor to serve and be able to navigate a really tremendous team who works their heart out. And you can ask Senator Nye, we take on so many different hats because we don't want to not have a voice at the table for everything. I'm on 8 interim committees, and all of my colleagues, the 6 of us out of 35 senators, we want to change that. We want more balance, and I'm really encouraged about the people who are running. And hopefully with all of your help and everyone showing up and participating in November, we can really move and change some of those numbers. And I'm really excited about the quality of the candidates that we have. You may not know that we are the fastest growing state in the nation right now. And the Boise, Meridian, Eagle area is the fastest growing part of that. The second largest part is in Coeur d'Alene. And the problem with that is we were talking workforce development, infrastructure. When we're talking about infrastructure, it's not just roads and bridges, it's sewer and water, it's school systems, it's healthcare, because most of those are retirees moving in. And you can imagine if we're not addressing healthcare now, what that's going to look like in the next 10 years. So these are things that we're really grappling with. It's something that the Democrats have been trying to scream at the top of our lungs for as long as I've been there. And thank you to the population of Idaho who said, you're not listening in the legislature, it needs to go on the ballot and we are going to have this discussion. So thank you for participating in that, and it's our job to make sure that it gets funded, and it's our job to make sure that we are your voice in Boise. So we always are open. Like I said, we have literature there. We have door knocked on thousands of doors. We always do every election cycle. And this is no small district. If you don't know, we're Camas, Gooding, Lincoln, and Blaine counties. So we go all the way down to Bliss on the Snake River Canyon. We go all the way over to Craters of the Moon. We're almost to Mountain Home, and we're up to Pettit Lake, the north of us. It is a giant territory, and I'm horrified at what my insurance cost me for all the mileage I put on my car. But it's an honor to do that. I knew that going in, and I just love this community and chose to do this job because I've always wanted to give back to the people I love. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you for being here. This is really amazing and very humbling experience. It has been such an honor these last, feels like it's been a couple of years, but the last few months, you know, I was always an athlete and competed, and I was always honored and loved being a part of a team. And I've been out of that for a few years, but now getting back into all of this, I am so excited, and I think this is the best team I've ever been on and the best team I've ever been a part of. And everyone on this ballot that we have is pretty amazing, and I am so honored to be a part and just really excited with the energy that we have moving forward. We are going to bring positive change, not only to Idaho, but Idaho is going to, you know, ripple effect to the rest of our country, which we all need, and we know we need. Amen. And we can do it as a team together. So thank you all. Thank you, Michelle and Sally, Anjani, everyone that I've had the privilege to meet over these last few months and work with and learn from. You know, really, I love this community. This community, Idaho's been so wonderful to me, and I would be so honored to go to Boise and use my loud voice and my goal-setting ability and my passion to follow through and accomplish things to get those challenges that we have in front of us solved, and to find some resolution and some good compromise, because we can do it and there are answers. It's just we got to have those hard conversations. Our schools can be better. As Sally mentions, we're doing okay. We've got good students. I got a public education here in Idaho, went to an amazing university. We are doing it, but we can do better. And our kids deserve better. And I know that if we go there and we find those solutions and those answers and we don't quit until we get there, we will accomplish that for our kids, for our future. Healthcare, I live it day in and day out, and I know the value and the importance, and nobody should be on the edge of losing everything because of an accident or a family issue because they don't have health insurance. And we have to get Medicaid expansion. It's on the ballot. We did that. We got to sign it. We got to pass it. We've got to vote to pass it. And then we, in the legislature, have to fund that. And I would be honored to be there and to take that challenge on and to find a way to make that happen so that we can get that health care to all those Idahoans, working Idahoans that so deserve it. And then finally, you know, we all live here and we all love this valley so much because of the special natural lands and public resources that we have here, the public spaces. And I want to fight to preserve those so that my daughter's grandchildren have those available still. And if we don't protect them, and if we don't fight to keep them, they're gone and they're gone forever. So we are going to stand there. We have loud voices and we're going to make it happen. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you everyone for your support. Go out in November, have a party, take 10 of your friends, and let's just have the best voter turnout we ever have, and we are going to make this change and bring amazing things to this state that we love and this community we all love. Thank you.
For those of you that don't know me, I am Representative Sally Toon, and it has been my honor to represent this district for the last 2 years. I am a native Idahoan, and I was born in northern Idaho, but for the last 48 years I have lived in Goody. My husband and I have a ranch, and we farm in both Camas County and Gooding County, along with our 2 sons and my 4 grandchildren. And those 4 grandchildren, as any grandma will say, that's my driver. I need Idaho to be the Idaho I grew up in the 21st century. My passion is education. I have a career of 37 years in the classroom. And because of that, when I say education has to be our priority for the state, I mean pre-K through 12, all public schools, colleges, and universities. Without this strong infrastructure, equitable accessibility, funding, we're going to continue to lose our young children to opportunities out of state. And until we can get a workforce, an educated workforce, we're going to be behind the curve. Our Idaho will only prosper when its people prosper. And that means we have to attract jobs. We can't do that unless we have the workforce to do that. And Michelle sits on the state task force. She can tell you, we have 50,000 jobs in the next 50 years that we won't have an educated workforce to fill. What does that say about our growth and our economy? We have low-paying jobs, and we have to change that. And that is my priority. I look forward to the next generation. But with that said, as Muffy pointed out, one of our best parts is our great outdoor spaces. They're not for sale. Period. With that said, you know, we need to figure out a way to protect them. We need sound, science-based, that's an awful word, science-based policies that protect our lands and our air and our water and our wildlife, all of those. So with that, you know, it is important that you come out and vote in November. I'm a team player. I have 2 great teammates, and I sure hope we can get your support November 6th. So please come out and vote, and I hope to visit with several of you. So thank you.
And that's exactly the reason why I'm running, because we need people who are truly from this land, who are from Idaho, who are in the communities with folks, often in the trenches. In my neighborhood, in Plummer, Idaho, where people are often making decisions on a weekly basis of whether they're going to pay their utility bills, their rent, or their child care, have a hard time making those decisions because they don't know where they're going to end up. Are they going to have to go bankrupt? Are they going to end up homeless? And these are challenges that a vast majority of Idahoans are facing here and now. Many of us sit in a comfortable place. I have a refrigerator. I can pay my bill, but many of my neighbors cannot. So this is why we run for the greater good. We are the good guys right here. You talk The empire. Good Lord. The empire out there. The cronyism. The corporate corruption. Republican Party, they own dang near everything in this state now. The media, the conglomerates that are going after us. I mean, they're attacking me dang near left and right. If I put my pants on the right side, they're going to say something about it. They're going to say, oh no, she stepped on the right side of the car, therefore they're going to talk about it. But as a woman, these are some of the challenges we go through. Not just because we're Democrats, or not just because I'm from rural Idaho, or from one of the most impoverished communities of our state, but because as women, we are learning amongst ourselves how poor Idaho has become. It was hard to see that Idaho has been rated 50th in this country in terms of how we treat our women, especially when it comes to equal pay rights, employment opportunities, education opportunities, reproductive choice. We are 48th in the country. Idaho is made up of roughly over 50% of women in our demographic. Women. If women united based on these fronts alone, we would win. All it is a matter of us standing up for ourselves. But I'm standing up for our LGBTQ community. I'm standing up for women, our young people, our people of color, people in rural Idaho who don't have access to health care, who don't have an opportunity to a world-class public education. These are people in our state who are struggling, and every time I see them, I hear them, and we share the same story. This is my upbringing. So therefore, it is my responsibility to push their voice to the forefront. And we're fighting hard every day. But like everyone's saying, we need resources, yes, but this is a grassroots movement. So what I promote first and foremost is people getting out to the doors, making sure we register people. I'm meeting Idahoans who are 80 years old, cowboys, never voted in their life. They said, I'm independent. The first time I'm ever going to vote is for Paulette Jordan. That is a testament in itself. But it goes to show you that how many people in Idaho are waking up and they're getting excited because they can see that they have someone who is true and sincere and really of the land. You're looking at the realest Idahoan that anyone could find. It doesn't get any better than that. So I plan to continue on my legacy of leadership, trying to be the most humble, to give back to the people, because this is what I was bred to do. My grandparents, these folks were great chiefs of the Northwest. They were the best stewards of this land. They're the reason why Idaho is so gorgeous today. My responsibility is to continue that tradition of stewardship and this value system, beholden to the people. So this is what I fight for, and I definitely support good women like Representatives Toon and Senator Sennett. These are good folks, and now we want to ensure that we have new individuals who join our team, like Muffy, who's soon to be a representative. We have so many great individuals in this space, and I just want to say how proud I am of you for staying positive, because as I'm going out throughout the state, there's so much negative, so much divisiveness. I'm going even to areas where most of our people in these broad spaces are Republican. But even they are disgusted and disappointed by their leadership. They've said they don't represent me and my values anymore. This is why I'm supporting a Democrat for the first time in my life. So let's be thankful, proud. We're taking the high road regardless. We're going to promote the issues. We're going to stand on our firm values. And of course, fight for the principles that are truly Idaho. So all of that being stated, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for my son who's here. He didn't want to come. He doesn't like these sorts of events, but he's here. Bless him. He drives me every day. He's the reason why I'm here. So thank you all so much.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Blinkens for hosting us. Thank you to everyone for being here this evening. I was born and raised in southeastern Idaho. For the past 33 years, I have been teaching in Idaho schools across the state, some of the smallest and some of the largest in the state of Idaho. And I've driven from Moscow today to tell you something. It's time for change. When Idaho schools are consistently ranked in the bottom 5 in the nation, when seniors in high school get lost somewhere between graduation and college, and when Idaho teachers are leaving the state in record numbers because they can make between $10,000 and $30,000 across the state line, it's time for change. I am an experienced educator, and I know how to get things done in state government. For the past 3 years, I've been serving on the Idaho Board of Correction, working with legislators on both sides of the aisle. I've been serving on Governor Otter's K-12 task force on education reform with other expert educators across the state. We use data-based analysis to find out what's going to be best for Idaho children. Now, as I said before, we need to make a difference here. I have a vision for Idaho schools. I've traveled the globe. I've been in schools across the world. I know we can do better. So I have a plan of how we're going to make things work, and I'm going to spell it out for you. I want to put a cape on education. See, people, we need to make civics a priority in schools to change this nation. A, access, equal opportunity for all students across the great state of Idaho. P, partnerships. When we partner with those in our community as schools, we are successful with our young people. And finally, and probably most importantly, E, early childhood learning strengthens families. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think you can support our campaign, please follow Cindy for Schools on social media, donate what you can, and talk to all of your friends and neighbors. Because as I said before, I'm Cindy Wilson, I'm running for State School Superintendent, and it's time for change.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Kristen Cullum, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. And you know what? This has been the longest interview I've ever had. But it's really important to me, and I hope it is to all of you as well. You know, I made it to the final round, and we're down to just 2 people. And, you know, it's really important that when we get to that we have the right person that is that, especially when it is the first woman lieutenant governor of the state of Idaho. I am self-made. I came from a working family, and I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, literally from my combat bootstraps. I served 12 years in the Army. I was enlisted and officer. I served in NATO. I had a top secret clearance. I worked for Colin Powell in the Pentagon. And then I served as a signal officer in an infantry division. 21 years ago, I came here to Idaho. I raised my daughters, mostly as a single mother. And I worked in the tech sector in larger teams, harder, more complex international programs in tech companies like Hewlett-Packard and Micron Technology. And what I believe is that we need a lieutenant governor who is smart, who is a thinker, who is a collaborator and an honest, hard worker. I would like to have someone who is more like me. I just happen to be running for it. I want to see someone like on Prop 2, someone that is with the majority of the people, unlike my opposition, who is going to vote yes for Prop 2 and the Medicaid expansion. And then when it goes in, I would like to see someone who backs that up, a government who listens to and represents their people. And if they don't do that, they need to be voted out. And finally, our first woman lieutenant governor needs to be a woman leader who represents women, that stands up for us on equal pay, protections, and the rights for health care. It is someone who does not approve of or accept men who denigrate, objectify, or abuse women. You know, I've been crossing the state. I've been to 37 of 44 counties, and I'm almost finished. I'm not going to stop. I have 69 days left, and I'm going to go on until, and not on the speech, I promise to wrap it up. But I've talked with Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, and Democrats, and do you know what? They all believe in me. They are all voting for me, and this is happening. They are ready for this change, and they're ready for what I represent. And I need one thing. I need your money. All of it. I need all your money. My opponent is wealthy, and she has tons of PACs backing her up, and I don't. And I need that. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for all being here tonight. This is so exciting and such a gift. You're a blessing, and I can't thank you enough. But I have to tell you, the reason I'm running is the same reason you're here tonight. We're tired of our democracy, our freedoms, and our voting rights being chipped away, and I'm here to fight that. Thank you. I'm also here to fight for the fact of our private information that was given away. I won't do that. Never would, never will. I really want to see Idaho move forward and not backward. And my thoughts on that have to do with voting, increasing, and turnout. And how I plan to do that, I'm going to make it quick and dirty. I know we don't have a lot of time. 18-year-olds should be registered immediately. They don't have to. It's done. They just go to the polls with their ideas. Yep. Ideas. And I spoke to 100 of them, and a third of them were already registered to vote, and the others are all excited about it, so we're going the right direction. The other thing is vote by mail. We already know Colorado, Oregon, and Washington do it. Utah's moving towards it. Well, come to find out, as I've gone across the state, we've been doing it. A little discriminatory, I would think, because it's only if your precinct is under 100 people. Well, you know what happens to that 100 and that precinct? They save money. Voter turnout has increased by almost 20% in some of them. We need that. So I am pushing for mail-in voting. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Now I have a plan. I'm a nurse, so I have a plan A, B, and C. And if they push me back on that, we know a lot of us use absentee voting. So how about putting a little box on there that you can check and say, keep me enrolled until further notice? Yeah. Because, yeah, it takes time and energy for the staff to input it again, right? So this is a money saver too. And the other thing I would like to do, if that doesn't work, I got speaking to some postal carriers that are in the association of it. I won't say who in case he would get into trouble. But he met with me, and what he said was, well, I've looked at Prop 2, and if they can do it for Medicaid, then we can do it for mail-in voting. So there's 3 different options we have. So I want to thank you. If you have any others, I'd appreciate knowing. And the other thing I want to say is, we'd be members of the land board. And I went to a land board meeting. I'm going to have to go to all of them, even before. And we need to be active in it. Cindy would be, and of course Paulette, wherever she is, we would all 3 be on that, because right now they make decisions not based on data, or what data they were looking at was in 1992. So come on, people, vote for us, get us in there, volunteer, bring family and friends and everybody you can to the polls. whatever we need to do. They need a ride. If they're doing the mail-in and they don't have a stamp, you give them stamps. Do whatever you can, because we love you, we care about you, and we're going to put people before politics. Thank you.
And I thought I would talk to you a little bit about my race and what I'm finding. What I am not finding is support for my opponent, Congressman Mike Simpson. Conservatives and Republicans are done with him. What I am finding is that there are a number of Democrats and progressives who don't mind him because he is the best of the four. The best of the worst, so to speak. So I thought I would address that to some degree tonight. I have been watching this man very closely for over 6 years now. He votes not for what is best for Idaho, not for what is best for the United States, but for what is best at keeping him in his position. Let me give you some examples. He spent 8 years of the Obama administration, like most Republicans, complaining about the debt and deficit. Fair enough. It was getting out of control, under Bush. So you would think that they would address that when the Republicans took over Washington, right? In 2016. The one thing they got done that year was a tax cut for corporations, completely unnecessary economically speaking, that adds $1 trillion to the debt and deficit that my son and future generations will have to pay for. Why would Mike Simpson vote like that? He's protecting himself from a challenge from the Club for Growth. So he turns on his principles and everything that he says that he stands for and votes the opposite way. He likes to claim that he is bipartisan. Let me give you an example of his bipartisanship. In 2003, under a Republican president, he helped pass a health care bill, the Medicare Part D expansion. This bill was designed to be the maximum cost to the taxpayer because it prevented Medicare from negotiating lower drug prices with the pharmaceutical companies. Not a penny, not 1 cent of that bill was paid for. It was all added to the debt and deficit. Fast forward 6 years, you have a Democratic president who also wants to pass a health care bill. And while the Affordable Care Act may not be perfect, it was designed to bring costs down across the board, and it was completely paid for. So you would think that Mike Simpson would support that, right? Wrong. He voted against it and has fought against it, fought to repeal it ever since its passage. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is the best that Idaho can do, we are in trouble. If Mike Simpson is the best of the four, then it is time to get a new four. We can only do 2 of those this year. But I am hoping to go to Washington, keep my word, respect principles that both Republicans and Democrats hold dear in the state, do my job for a few terms, and then come back to Idaho and live like everybody else.
Eye on Sun Valley, daily local news from beautiful Sun Valley, Idaho.